So if she can hear us. Okay, we're good.
4th of October, 2025, I'll call a regular meeting of the Dolores County Board of County Commissioners order here in Rico. If everyone can join me for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Looking at our agenda, we have 2 agenda items and 3 items of new business. Only thing I can think for an added agenda item would like to save time for our clerk, Loretta Randolph, to get an update on some ballots. I think she was going to zoom in, so.
And Melinda on Snap.
And Melinda on Snap. So we will include that as they pop in and we have breaks. Other than that, they don't have anything for the agenda, but you.
I don't have anything. No.
Make a motion to approve the agenda with those 2 additions in Loretta Randolph and the social services director Melinda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda with the added Loretta Randolph, County Clerk, Melinda Evans, social service.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor of approving the agenda with corrections? Yes. Yes as well.
Yes.
Agenda is approved. And we now have a motion to approve expenditures.
I make a motion to approve the expenditures.
I'll second the motion.
A motion from Commissioner Davis to approve expenditures on a second. All in favor of approving expenditures?
Yes.
So, and we do not have any minutes for approval. Today's meeting. First up, we will open it up for a senior transportation update from our senior services director. Can you hear us?
Yeah,
There we go.
barely, but I can hear you. Can you guys
Okay.
hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, all right, good deal. I wanted to apologize that I couldn't be there in person today, but it was just not going to happen today. We're too busy here today. I just did want to give a little bit of an update. I know I had been up there in July talking about maybe trying to expand our senior transportation to Rico. Since then, we have done the budget for 2026. The funding is going to be short for our program. A lot of our state funding has been cut. So we're down quite a bit of money for that. I would love to be able to help every senior in Dolores County. Unfortunately, the logistics of our two communities makes that very hard. I don't want to totally give up on it, but the only way that we can do transportation in Rico is to have a funding source that is going to be guaranteed funding year to year. The funding that I get all goes to running the programs that we have here in Dove Creek. The foundation grants that I apply for all go to backfill that budget cuts and funding cuts that we have. So without a guaranteed funding source, there's not really a way to do the transportation. Our transportation here in Dove Creek, I don't know that it would quite come out the same in Rico, because I don't know that our drivers would have the 26 hours a week and the mileage and stuff on the vehicles. But for us, it's about $25,000 a year per driver and vehicle. So it's a substantial amount of money to come up with and to be able to run this program. I would hate to find funding and do it for a year and then not have funding to keep it going. It takes a lot to do transportation. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of training for the drivers. A lot of most of my time is spent on transportation as far as keeping up with policies and procedures from FTA, the state, drug and alcohol, all of that stuff. So it takes quite a bit of time and effort to get that transportation going. If there could be a resource for funding, perhaps through Rico Center or something like that, that could tell us that, yes, they want to support this, then it might be something to look into a little further if I could be guaranteed funding. Problem is, that's really hard to find these days. The guaranteed funding for year after year is very difficult to find. So at this point, I mean, I would be happy to talk with Rico Center to see if that's something that they think that they would support and could continue supporting. We might be able to look into it. But as far as from my perspective and from what I have available for funding, I can't do it at this time. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts is on it, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, looking at the revenues that you have coming in this year, I mean, they've dropped, I'd say substantially. Just
Yes.
with you.
Yes, they have.
It's hard to look at expansion of services when the potential is there to be scaling back to just core services.
Yes, and that's kind of what, you know, unfortunately, an option that we have to look at is to scale back even our services here. And so to think about expanding is pretty much out of the question for me right now, unless there is another option with other funding.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, guys.
Transportation for this year, don't look like it's gonna happen, right?
Up here,
Yeah, up here.
doesn't sound like it.
And I don't really see any interest of those who wanted transportation get at the meeting. I think, wasn't Susan the one that asked for transportation?
So she was one of the ones that we had originally met with. I had went up there with Good Food Collective, and we were talking about trying to do something food wise with our meals or something, and the transportation is what was brought up as something that was needed up there. So I kind of tried to pursue that, but then that's kind of as far as it went with that.
And wasn't Rico Center supposed to be here today to give their report on their financial?
She is out of town. She couldn't make it.
Did we get we got the budget?
I thought she said she was gonna send it to you. I haven't seen it, but she did get it done, she said.
No. Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you. So,
That we can look into next year.
yeah, it's depending on revenues. Yeah, I have to look at it every year. Yeah. Talking about revenues, I know, talked about it in the monthly, with our department heads and elected officials. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, attended a workshop with the, Muncie Board of County Commissioners, and it was regarding energy production in southwest corner of the state. And they've given a timeline of about 5 years for Kinder Morgan to really scale back production. Which is, you know, that accounts for a large portion of our tax revenue is from oil and gas. Found out this last week that Air Products, that operates off of Kinder Morgan CO2 production, is pulling out. They laid off their staff and they're decommissioning the site, which to me is indicative of the time that the county presented that Ken Morton was scaling back production, ultimately probably decommissioned down there. 5 years was their timeline. That hit us a little quicker, simply it's a more satellite operation. So we're poised to lose a substantial portion of our tax revenue. I think 58% around there.
So the last time, when they initially, when Kinder Morgan initially gave us some indication, because of the Argonne facility going in, of their timelines, I was able to contact Morgan's attorney, and she was able to respond with an actual statement. Do you want me to do that again?
Yes, yeah,
Okay, I'd be happy to send her another and say, hey, can you give us a little bit more? And they were pretty good about it. They were a little vague, but I think at that time, and that was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they said, there are no assurances we will go past 5 years. So once, and so that would be 3 years from now, which would also seem to fall in line with what Runners are saying. But I will send her out. See if I can get you information.
okay, thank you. Appreciate it. In conjunction with the Boston State and Federal, we've got some work to do, but.
Yep. We have a lot of work to do.
So, new business, well, the first item, our Dolores County Fair Board member approval, and just have our one member, right, that is Jody Lloyd.
And me.
And Shayla, that's right, Shayla. I'll make a motion to approve Jody Lloyd and Shayla Allard for Fair Board.
I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I know they were very excited about it. When I talked to Oma, they were very excited to have you on the board, just with all of your equestrian background and all that, so
Thank you.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
For each.
I have really enjoyed seeing the gymkhanas, all of that and everything getting ramped up. I feel like Fair Board it's great. It's just gonna get better with you guys on.
Oma does a good job.
Yes, yes, she does.
Are you replacing somebody, or are you just doing?
Well, I think they had some openings with Linda and then somebody else. I'm not sure, but yeah,
I don't know.
Just-
yeah, I think they were just able to have, yeah. I put in mine and Jody put in her letter, so Oma thought there was room for both. And Jody's really good too. She's very active, at least in the rodeo part. Super knowledgeable about it.
Motivated.
Yeah, very.
If you see something in the administration that you think we need to clean up, in terms of rules or regs or anything like that, just please reach out.
Cool.
Okay.
We have a motion? I think we do, it's a discussion. Okay, all in favor of approving Jody Lloyd and Shayla Oliver to our enforcement purple?
Yes. Yes.
I'm yes as well. Side of new business, we had our maintenance director retire and went through the hiring process. I really like, we had part-time Shasta, it was in, I think she's done an exemplary job thus far. And should be my recommendation, to fill that position.
Go for it. What is her last name?
Baxter.
I make a move to hire Shasta Ashton as the courthouse maintenance director.
And I'll second that motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Elman to hire Shasta Baxter as the Dolores County Courthouse Maintenance Director, and second Is there any other discussion?
Did we need to do any preliminary contingencies with HR? Because I know there was gonna be a question of the person having access to sensitive information and things like that, and I know her and I had talked about, perhaps doing backgrounds on this hire just because they're gonna have access to the office materials. But
Modified motion to, conditional upon HR contingencies. All in favor of hiring Shasta Baxter as the Gorski Courthouse Maintenance Director, contingent upon HR comments.
Yes.
I'm yes to. Last item of new business, have US Forest Service support letter. And I believe this is.
I don't think so. I think
That's the name.
well, I guess I don't know.
For the services, they apply for grant program. Funding through the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Motorized Trails Program. I know we did this last year, I think we do it every year.
Yeah.
Done it for
Like,
several years. So we can just all sign it today and.
If you look over it, that was just, I just did the updated, yep, and I just updated with their projects for this year.
Okay. I'll make a motion to submit a letter of support for the US Forest Service, with the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Motorized Trails Program.
I second the motion.
Motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
I don't have any.
Nope.
On favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, as well.
I guess if we all sign it since we're all, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, and just take it back and scan it out.
No, Forest Service right now, things are a little wonky. I know a lot of meetings have been canceled simply because of the furlough and they just have to operate.
I was surprised, Tom was working, actually, but,
Yes.
so do you want me to try to get a hold of Melinda or Loretta, or
Yeah, that's
see one of them? I don't have Loretta's number.
Yeah, we've got all that information from CCL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Dates, everything.
speak on, I talked to her yesterday, and she just wanted to bring you up to speed on the benefits that are not gonna be available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they sent us, a big email,
Yeah.
got dates and times.
Maybe she didn't see that.
But I think she wants to give us a report.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't, we can hold it.
So, yeah, I mean, they can give a summary for it.
She calling in, you wonder where it is.
Yeah, she just asked when, and I told her it would probably be after the geothermal update, but I didn't know, so I should text her, but.
You just asked her.
And I don't have Loretta's number, sorry.
Don't either. Do you have a phone? Shoot her a text and tell her she can get on.
I both get on the same.
Probably. See how it goes.
Was the gal with the geothermal coming in?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't send an email, so for Zoom if she wasn't, so.
Yeah, no.
You guys have anything?
Yes, thank you.
Public comment, yeah, that'll work.
I noticed public comment and geothermal was on the agenda, so. First, geothermal, I'm a member of the Rico Geothermal Coalition. We've been in video, whatever Teal calls it, I don't know why she's not here, is there a reason she's not here?
Maybe,
Okay,
I hear
well,
footsteps.
and I'll be really brief. The location of where to drill the test well to be known pretty soon. So I thought it was gonna be this month, might be next month, but that work was funded by a $100,000 grant that the Geothermal Coalition. And well, Tavera is the name of the company that used to do a lot of oil and gas exploration, subsurface, fancy equipment and measures, senses, and determines where everything is underground. So they're almost done with that. And another $200,000 grant was awarded by the Colorado Energy Office earlier this year to drill a test well and maybe design a distribution system, pipe distribution system to circulate water, warm water or fluid through town, but I don't think that's gonna happen after all. So that's where that's at. Now, in the public comment, I have, well, two, obviously, the election of regarding the Telluride School District. This is from Rita Randolph. You also know this is what happened here. I became aware, October 16th, I became aware that Telluride School District R1 has voters in Dolores County in 2023. Voters passed the annexation of Rico into Telluride. Well, yes, of course. The county clerk was involved. That okay, good. And the other one is something I'm trying to resolve from my residents in or working on this on and off for since late last year. The septic service pumping company was next door at my place, and so I walked over there because I've been living there since 2016 and owned the house since late 2011. And I asked, like, if you could do mine, no, don't have time, but let's look at it. So we took the lid off and this technician said, somebody didn't know what they were doing. LePew Septic. They said, somebody didn't know what they're doing when they installed this, because your line from the house goes into the smaller chamber. That's, all the solids are supposed to go into the big chamber, and then the fluid empties over in the smaller chamber and then out. And so earlier this year, then I called and made an appointment. They came up, and this was a different technician, and he said the same thing. So I've inquired with town of Rico. Well, no, I called the county first because I assumed that the county would be that's the outfit that would have that jurisdiction over that sort of thing. And the county told me, well, if you're in Rico, that's town of Rico jurisdiction. Okay. So I've been in contact recently with town manager here about that, and he wrote back and stated that the town of Rico did not start, but I don't know when. He says house built in 2005 prior to town's adoption of septic regulations 43, which I believe is something associated with Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. I did find something on their website about that. So, in other words, town did not have jurisdiction. It apparently didn't have a board of health at the time. So, who's got my septic permit? Of course, I wasn't the owner.
So as far back as I've been here, which is 16 or 17 years now, the town has always asked and has been allowed to be their own Department of Health as to on-site wastewater treatment systems in their own jurisdiction. The town did not want the county to have any involvement with their septic approvals or permitting. Now, I don't know when that started. I think it's always been that way. If I had to guess, I'd say we've never touched anything in the town of Rico in terms of outside wastewater treatment systems. And, it's actually an exemption, so you had to adopt, regulation 43 and updates to it, I think 3 times now. And it has always been, Rico's position that they have asked us to, ask the state for permission for them to continue. And so there is a resolution, that Rico is public health only in terms of outside wastewater treatment systems. So.
So if Rico doesn't have the permit and Charlie doesn't have the permit, there was no permit.
Any counties ever issued permits in Rico for outside wastewater treatment.
Okay. Do you agree with that?
I don't know, I don't have the history of it.
Yeah.
I don't have any permits
Yeah.
dating back past 2007. I don't know what happened pre-2007.
Yeah, and I think if you wanted to track it down, but if you asked, you've asked Julie Kyle, who's in charge of our on-site wastewater treatment system permitting. If she had it, she could give it to me and show what diligent for it if you ask her, and it's not there, then it's not there.
Okay, Linda, you were the town clerk.
I think up to 2005, and then going back, there was no septic permit. So I assume every residential did their own septic system without inspection or whatever. And we didn't start that in 2005.
Okay, well, that's a survivor, we're a situation here for anybody who had prior to town taking that jurisdiction, there's no man's land, right?
Well, I can't really comment other than to say, Rico's a unique situation with on-site wastewater treatment systems because of the topography here and the size of the lots. So, that's all I can tell you is that's saying there's an engineer out there who probably designed your system or at least assisted with it. Maybe not though, might have just been an installer that said, I know how to do this and looked it up the wrong way. But you may want to just try to go back in time and ask around, but good luck on that. And stuff.
Okay, I'll see if I can find some other people who were in silver glass at that time and see what happened with them. I know there's a few that have been there a long time. So.
And if you could find, if you ask your neighbor who installed your system and they know, odds are it's probably the same person for years. There's probably one guy with a
General contractor, the subcontractor, somebody that did them all.
yeah. Once they get used to this, the area and stuff, they usually call the same guy. Oh, call Bill. He did mine. You know, if I may. The other thing that I just wanted to clarify that Rita Randolph, she had no reason to know, even if she knew there was a annexation of the school district, she had no reason to know there was going to be election. That is incumbent upon the school district to notify her, or San Miguel County through a resolution. With actual ballot language and notification that, hey, we need an election and all that. So she absolutely had no reason to know that there was an election needed. And that's very, very clearly spelled out. You have deadlines in order to notify the clerk and recorder of the county in which you need to hold the election. And she did not receive notification till way after the fact.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I just want to make it,
I'm familiar with the process that the local, the organizing group here went through with all their deadlines and so forth, of notifications and so forth, because they had to work with 3 entities, of course.
I just wanted a clear record
Yeah,
that she
thank you.
had nothing to do with this. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see Melinda on.
Good morning, board. I hope you're able to hear me okay. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of feedback on your end.
Yes, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, Thank you. So I'm sure as many of you have heard, we received information from the state last week that the November issuance for food assistance benefits is been placed on hold. Dolores County, according to our numbers, releases around $40,000 of food assistance benefits every month, which is money obviously that goes into our community, our local vendors, and of course, some funds go to Cortez for folks that are doing shopping there. However, I wanted the board's permission to hold a emergency meeting for our Dolores County partners, for anyone that can make it, to discuss this further and to help plan for this lack of funding for our community folks. So that would be my first ask. I'm looking at potentially Wednesday afternoon around 2:30, and was planning to invite Keith as emergency management and also Karen Share, Carol Marie from Rock, the school district, our public health department, and anyone else you think is important, potentially Elisa from the senior center as well. Is there anyone else that the board thinks should be invited to that meeting that I haven't listed?
What is it to go over or cover, just that they're, because it's stating they won't have any until, you mean, to supply extra food for people that are on SNAP, or?
Yes, that's correct. And to see if there's any potential funding between all of us to help fill the need for folks in the community. Either being able to provide additional food benefits through Care and Share or through Rock or our other programs, and potentially through my second ask would be to use potentially some of our Dolores County Social Services funds to help support filling some of that need.
I think a meeting on the 22nd would be great. I don't think you've missed any of the stakeholders that would need to be there. Hopefully everyone can make it.
What do we have, what Wednesday, what is?
Don't have anything Wednesday.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's full.
That's pretty full. Wednesday, don't have anything Wednesday.
What there was?
Oh, New York Life, but that would be,
Yeah, individual.
Okay,
yeah,
I need,
yeah.
okay, yes.
Yeah, Melinda, are you gonna reach out to everybody?
Yes, I can certainly do that. Is anyone from the board or from the commissioner's office willing or wanting to attend that meeting?
Yeah, we can post it, just as a workshop and.
Are you
Where-
holding it?
Where will you have it, Melinda?
I was going to offer our department office, our conference room here, as well as an online opportunity for folks who may not be able to come in person.
At 2:30?
2:30.
Yes. And this will be following a meeting that Montezuma County is having from I always say the name wrong, but I believe it's the Good Food Collective in Montezuma County. They're having an emergency meeting at 12:30, and I was hoping to gather some information from that meeting to be able to share with our community partners, so that we sort of have a basis for a game plan, if you will. I have already reached out to Carol Marie and to Keith and the public health department and to Elisa to let them know that this issue is happening for our food assistance folks. It sounds like we are all sort of brainstorming some different ideas for how to handle this influx, and we'll hopefully be able to meet our community's needs. Do you all have any
Thank you,
other
Melinda.
questions for?
Um,
I don't have any.
I don't have any right now. I think it'll be good to get everybody at the table, especially before that funding, to see what's possible. All the partners.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Melinda.
And I see Larita on right now. Can you hear me, Larita?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I can hear you. Perfect. Thank you
Okay.
for coming on.
Oh,
We
sure.
had one public comment that brought up about the ballot. So glad you jumped on. I'll turn it over to you to give your summary.
Are you want me
Oh,
to
shoot.
start, or is it a public comment? Did you say? I'm
Oh,
kind
no,
of,
we had one individual that had given public comment and had brought up about the ballot going out. So glad to see you on. So I'll turn it over to you to give your input on it.
all right, to just start from the beginning. So Thursday, I got a call from San Miguel County Clerk, and he was panicked because Telluride School District apparently was supposed to coordinate with myself with this county to have a school board election question on our ballot. They did not do that, so he had been in contact with the school district. I spoke to the school district, Secretary of State's office. We decided the best course of action was to build a ballot for them that they could vote on, that one school board question included in their original official ballot package and be returned to our office. There's it goes a little more in depth than that, but that's basically the overall scope of what has happened. I did get the ballots up there on Friday. Some of them have Telluride addresses, so they probably did not receive them until Saturday, possibly today. But the hope is that everyone will read the cover letter and return this ballot with their original ballot package to us so that it can be processed normally here in this office. Does that explain it without getting into too deep of weeds?
I think so. Yeah, and just my clarification, the onus was on the school district to get everything submitted for their ballot initiative.
Right.
That didn't happen, though now a separate ballot went out and the state's really guiding that process.
Yes.
Got 2 ballots right now and hopeful that both will be returned at the same
Yeah, and I should note, in July, it is up to the school district or a special district. If they plan to coordinate, they are supposed to send a letter of intent in July. That did not happen. And in fact, I went back in the file this morning and Lana, the prior clerk, had put a sticky note on Dolores County's letter of intent, Dolores County School District's letter of intent, and just made a note that this is the only entity that plans to coordinate in the November election. And that was on July 31st that she put the note. So, and the deadline was July 25th. So I think it just slipped their mind. I'm not sure.
Okay. And the school district, they'll be paying for the increased cost of having the.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, all of it. I sent the school district's DEO's email address to the to our the project manager for the vendor that builds the elections for our systems, so that they could just communicate directly as far as payment. And then the other costs as far as getting the ballots delivered and the postage, everything that entailed, the election judge's extra hours on Friday morning. I'm having to double the number of election judges because these have to be handled separately from start to finish. So Telluride School District will be responsible for all of the extra costs incurred.
Somebody here have any questions? No. Okay. If anybody does have any questions, they can reach out to you at the clerk's office there.
Absolutely. Yes, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. The main thing is just to get the word out to please send that second ballot in the original ballot packet, in the official ballot envelope. That is the main thing. And we have not received a Rico ballot yet. So I know there's still time to get the word out. There may be some in the mail that have already been mailed, but we have not received any yet. So that's the main thing, if they could just get the word out up there.
If I could clarify, if someone did send their ballot back before they got your letter, is there any way they can contact you for?
Yes,
that addition?
right. The letter that I sent in the packet said if you have already returned your original ballot packet, contact us for an alternative method. In that case, I will send them an official ballot return envelope with the self-affirmation that they can send the other ballot back in. I did include a self-affirmation in the ballot packet just in case they ignore both instructions, and if they at least sign that and return it in a plain envelope, at least it's something. So I tried to cover every scenario that I could think of as far as them returning those ballots.
Thank you.
Thank
Sure.
you, Rita.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys.
Rico geothermal update.
All right, see ya.
Thanks, Rita. Deal.
Yeah, thank you. I heard there maybe was a little bit of an intro provided by Alan, is that right?
Brief.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize for arriving last minute. I just got off of a call.
Oh.
But thank you for inviting me to be a part of your agenda today. My name is Teal Stetson Lee. I'm a Rico resident. I've been here for 5 years. And I started the Rico Geothermal Coalition 4 years ago. And we have 5 local resident members on the coalition. And we are picking up where a previous Rico Geothermal Committee left off in 2018. There was a geothermal committee here that was looking into our hot water resource and conducting some research in partnership with the School of Mines and Professor Masami Nakagawa for 9 years to understand some of the intricacies of the hydro geothermal system that we have. They ran out of funding in 2018 and things kind of stalled out. And when I arrived here, I was very interested in what more we could learn about this resource and how we could actually do something actionable with it that would have benefit for the community. A little background about me, the reason why I got interested in this is not because I have any kind of degree in engineering or geology, but I grew up in Durango. And I came over to Rico growing up and soaking in the hot springs on my way to the Bluegrass Festival or going skiing in Telluride. And so I was always very curious about this resource. When I landed here, I was really interested in finding out if there was anything that could be done with it that could benefit the community directly. So that started this whole process for me of reinvigorating the Rico Geothermal Coalition and diving into the research that had been done previously. And where we've gotten to now, 4 years later,
Last year, we received our first grant through the Colorado Geothermal Grant Program for $100,000 to fund our initial scoping study, which we've been conducting for the last 11 months. The scoping study consists of partnering with a firm, a subsurface geology and engineering firm named Tavera. And they have been mapping the 3D reservoir using some of the previous data that was collected, and then also some of their more modern 3D mapping technology program that will show how the reservoir is essentially recharged by surface water, and then where the reservoir comes to the surface in places where it can be accessed more easily by another well. And then the other part of the scoping study was with the Rico Geothermal Coalition taking the initiative to survey the entire town over the course of the summer to find out what residents were interested in with making use of this geothermal resource. And we collected 101 responses. 90 of those responses are local residents, and over 64% of residents are interested in the idea of making use of this resource for heat. Heating residences, heating buildings in the town. There's also a lot of interest in hot springs, greenhouses, snow melt, a whole variety of different possibilities with the resource. And then what we've discovered with this mapping, the 3D mapping uses existing geologic, geophysical, and thermal data that defines this reservoir for the purpose of being able to put another well in the ground that can be managed and maintained and controlled by the community. Some of you may know there are already surface hot springs, but all 3 of those are privately owned. And 2 of them are on Atlantic Richfield property, and then 1 is owned by a local couple that live in Telluride, and then come to Rico part-time, and they've kept that spring open for public use. But we don't actually have access to this reservoir that can be utilized by the community. So what we've been pursuing with this scoping study is the idea of using the heat from this resource to heat the town, to set up a district heating system that would start with a neighborhood and could potentially expand to be community-wide. And we just received our second round of grant funding, again through the Colorado Geothermal Grant Program, now that we've completed this first scoping study, to start pursuing an actual system design for district heating, as well as putting in a monitoring well, which will give us more concrete data on the ground, more so than what we've been able to map with the 3D mapping and the data we currently have. So that would be actually drilling a well by the end of this grant cycle, which is starting now in October. It's anywhere from 10 to 18 months, however long it takes us to get all the pieces in place to put a monitoring well in the ground. So that's what we're working on, and I'm grateful to Eric for inviting me to be a part of this. He's attended some of our virtual geothermal cafes that we host online every month, the last Thursday of the month from 8 to 9. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to share about what we've been working on here in Rico. And I want to also just say that geothermal is a possibility in most places. We happen to have a unique situation here in Rico where we have a hot water reservoir. So we have elevated thermal temperatures we can use for heating or greenhouses, snow melt, any of the uses the community chooses. In other locations, even in Dolores County, if you put a well into the ground, you can still pull up earth heat temperatures, which are an average temperature of 59 degrees year round. So with heating pumps, it actually is a really viable heating resource pretty much anywhere in the world. You don't have to have hot water to do it. And there's also a lot of work being done right now, exploring technologies for repurposing dry oil and gas wells, because there's whole workforces that are experts in the area of drilling holes in the ground. And geothermal is a new renewable, not new, but new in the sense that it's being more innovative right now with the technology. to be kind of a repurposing solution for communities that have traditionally been oil and gas focused and might be running into dry wells. So that's something just to put out there because I know that's a part of our county. And so our geothermal project here is just the tip of the iceberg for potential within the county and the larger region as a whole. There's a lot more I could go into on this, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of a summary of what we've been working on.
Thank you for coming in. I know, it's been really fun for me to, see the process with everything. Definitely not an engineer, so a lot of it goes over my head. But the scoping study, will that really influence the plan for distribution? Is that the next step? See what the possibility is with your test well, and then that one influence the plan for distribution.
Yes, I mean, this next phase that we're stepping into, which is the feasibility study. The scoping study in a lot of ways was a pre-feasibility study, and now we're doing the feasibility study. The feasibility study takes a look at the data that we've collected from the 3D mapping and then pairs it with the community-wide surveying to decide how big this district should be and where it should be to start. And that's based on the data that allows us to see the best location for putting another well in the ground. And then from that well, what neighborhood or what district can be most easily accessed for heating. And then, of course, community buy-in of wanting those systems to be put in place. And as a coalition, we've kind of gone back to the drawing board in the last month, taking into consideration all the final pieces of this scoping study. And what we're thinking about is doing a demonstration project where we create a few buildings in one location right where the well is, that can be heated and provide an environment for like a co-working space essentially. Co-working space, a greenhouse, and a public restroom that can utilize some of the technologies of geothermal heating in a few different ways and can be felt and used and appreciated by the community right away. And then from that location, being able to pipe that heat out into the existing buildings and neighborhoods that are nearby. You know, something that can be scalable. Geothermal is one of those things where what I've found in my process, it's as I mentioned, it's not new technology. It's been utilized in many places around the world for a really long time. New Zealand, Japan, Denmark, Iceland, those are some of the leading places. But we have new innovations with it now that are very relevant to where we're at here in the United States with some of our energy development. And so this next phase is creating an actual design, which will have numbers attached to it, which will show like economic values related to utilizing geothermal heat versus other traditional heat methods, and giving more of a breakdown. Yeah, if that answers your question.
Yep, it does.
Yeah. And then the monitoring well will also give us way more information too about our specific hydrothermal hot water resource here. And I should add, one of the things I've found most fascinating about geothermal as an energy resource is you can actually set it up as a closed loop system for pulling heat, which is amazing. So what that means is we could put a hole in the ground that's a production well and bring hot water up and put a heat reactor or a heat extractor right at the water source, the water in an injection well. So we're not actually using any water, we're only using the heat. And then that heat is used to heat a secondary fluid, like a glycol water mixture in a pipe, that then just gets piped around a certain district, and a few degrees get pulled off of that pipe for each building and run through a compressor. And then it comes out at 90 to 100-degree temperatures in that building or in that house. And then that glycol mixture goes right back around to the original production well and gets reheated. So the water is just getting reheated, it's just pulling heat up from the earth. And then we're pulling that heat off to heat the fluid, to heat the buildings. So it's pretty amazing technology, and as I mentioned, I'm not an engineer, scientist, get that, but I'm a community organizer and I'm totally geeking out on all this stuff because it's really cool.
Did you know, are you familiar with the Montezuma County Courthouse project?
No, are they using geothermal?
The old courthouse, that entire lot to the south of the courthouse was a geothermal project to heat the courthouse, and that was probably 20 years ago.
At least.
Do you remember that? And so, that was I think that was a federal grant program or some kind of grant program. You might want to look at that.
Okay.
It was a big deal. That was a deep well. I think that was a deep well project,
Okay.
and they don't have, hot water over there. That was just ground, I think that was just ground heat.
Yeah, awesome. Were they using, I'm assuming it was just for district heating purposes, it wasn't for electricity generation.
I think it was to heat the courthouse, which is a pretty big building, but
Cool.
I bet they have a good file on it.
Yeah, thank you. That's wonderful. And these regional resources are fantastic because it's the way we can all kind of learn each other.
I think he was, yeah.
Ashton North.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely exciting.
yeah.
We see the biggest barriers are of moving into this.
Definitely funding and cost, and we'll know more after this next phase with our initial design, what that's gonna look like. But capital costs will always be a hurdle, even if these systems have the ability to pay themselves back over time, which they do because they're more efficient heating sources than well, what we're using right here in Rico, 80% of the town uses wood and propane to heat. And over time, these systems are way more cost effective, but the initial upfront costs are gonna be significant. Another barrier is excavation. I'm sure most of you know, we have a lot of projects here in Rico that require road excavation. And as infrastructure improvements are put in place, that's a continuous process of tearing up the roads and putting in new piping and infrastructure. And that was something that came up repeatedly in my door-to-door surveying with people as a concern. So those are a couple of the main ones.
Is there still potential for multi-use trench with the
Absolutely,
sewer system?
absolutely.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Is that, I mean, I still can't wrap my head around the layers of it, but I guess all of the, how it all works together and is much more efficient doing it that way.
Yes, yes, it's efficient in part because you're just putting one trench in the ground and laying a few different pipes in for different infrastructure. And that's
By doing.
yes, and then there's also this really interesting bonus heat part that goes with capturing heat from wastewater systems.
Yeah.
And that is a geothermal technology that's being utilized in a whole variety of different places. One of the most recent studies I read up on was in Duluth. They're using that for Section 8 and they're harvesting specifically wastewater heat to heat all of the section housing district in Duluth, Minnesota. And so what we're working with here is obviously ground source heat that you can find anywhere, hot water heat, and then potentially if we pair it with a sewer system, then we're harvesting wastewater heat too. So now we have like a triple augmented system, which increases the efficiency of how much heat is circulating and how many buildings can be heated. So it's amazing stuff. And I'd also like, it makes a lot of sense to be able to do it that way, if it lines up with the hierarchy of projects, of course. Yeah.
Especially for savings. Yeah, being invested.
Yeah, yes,
A big one
yes.
for both sides.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's clear to me now. Yeah, the way you presented it. Yeah,
Oh, good. I'm
Yeah.
so glad. I'm always working on
huh?
how I can clarify that.
With their, this Emily, with the explained it very well and painted the picture, which was.
But she
Yeah.
painted me a picture too,
Yeah.
more, but way more than what I had. True.
Yeah, yeah, and Eric has my contact info. If you have any more interests or further questions, please feel free to reach out anytime. I'm learning as I go. But it's been really fascinating and I see grand potential, especially for this small little community. There's a lot of opportunity to have the system work well here and then have that be a template and model for other communities in the area.
Seeing success with geothermal, it's really exciting about the advancing technology of, reclaiming your oil and gas wells for geothermal. I think
Yes.
there's one company in Colorado and specifically devoted to the research and development of that, so.
Yeah.
It could be a game changer in the future.
Yeah, certainly. And on a state level, there's so much momentum and funding and interest being put towards geothermal as a whole. So we're in a really exciting time to be exploring these innovations and applying them broadly across the state right now. Yeah.
I want to know how the location of the initial district will be determined.
That's a great question, and part of it has to do with the responses we've gotten on the survey and. You know, depending on the area of town where people are more open to it. But a lot of it is also gonna come down to our final map. 3D map and where we're putting the well. And this idea that I mentioned of an initial demonstration project. That location would most likely be on the north end of town, right next to, the Bedrock subdivision. Because there's already an access point there that we know of that's based off of what the current surface springs are doing. I can't say that as a final decision yet, but I think that that might be the best starting point, and then we would expand and grow out from there. So it would kind of work from that north side inward. Yeah. Yeah, you're not too far away. Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the idea is we definitely want, the Rico community to feel the benefits of this as soon as possible. Which is where we've come back around to this idea of the demonstration project, which would be an initial district of 3 buildings and then having that be scalable into other neighborhoods.
So would the greenhouse be there, or was it the one we already have over?
No, it wouldn't be the one on Piedmont, yeah, though I'd love for that one to be geothermal as well. But it would probably be new construction, so that we could set everything up with the new building model. Yeah, sure.
Potential for expansion to the existing greenhouse.
Yeah, potentially. It's on the other side of the highway and the other side of the river from the current site that we've been considering for a demonstration project, which that provides some additional hurdles, but not insurmountable. And that could be a possibility because we have a community greenhouse that I actually manage that's on Piedmont. And that's been operating for 4 years. And the only issue is we have like 2.5 months out of the season where nothing grows in there, other than rosemary. So like everything dies and we have to replant it. But if we had geothermal heating, then it would provide that year-round opportunity for food production too. So, I mean, that's certainly on my mind and hopefully it can all weave together in some ways.
So would you be your own district and maybe the town of Rico's going to be involved or not?
Well, so I have been presenting to the town of Rico consistently for 3 years. And the last presentation I provided to the town was in August, requesting the appointment of an official town of Rico geothermal committee again. And I got the sense that there were some other projects that were higher priority. And so I think for now, we want to produce something that has viability and value that everyone can experience before we come back to the town to expand the district heating out into a whole town project. I think there's a lot of opportunity for doing that, but we recognize the value of moving slowly and also not overwhelming our current board of trustees with too many projects and too many committees all at once. And I think we can be successful with our demonstration project, which hopefully will piggyback off of this initial design and monitoring well as a starting point, and that will start to gain more momentum, I think, with town understanding and buy-in. Yeah, but I mean, if we start on the north side, we could totally run district heating down through town and heat the courthouse, heat the church as part of that district as like kind of the next few steps out from the demonstration project. Yeah.
Sounds like not only will the project be scalable, but the funding maybe too. Demonstrate.
Hopefully.
Success of it.
Yes, well, where we're at right now with our funding through the Colorado Geothermal Grant Program, this is their last round of about 1.4 million that was allocated. And they provided us with the second largest grant amount actually in this second round of funding. We were the top scoring application both times for Rico. And they awarded us 200,000 for this next round with the initial design and monitoring well. But that's it, that's the end of that funding base. However, there's a lot more funding in circulation with geothermal, it's just a matter of finding more sources for that.
Okay.
Yeah, but the state funding in particular is what has the direction for geothermal kind of connected to it right now.
It's a rough spot being.
Yeah, totally. But there's money out there and these are innovative projects and there's a lot of people who are looking for solutions for energy.
Mhm.
And geothermal is a really unique energy source because it runs 24 hours a day.
You see any anticipated needs of the board for, maybe immediate needs or what do you see in the future?
I think I recognize that I wanna maintain transparent conversations, communications with them throughout this whole process and not overload them. I think, just on my impression, the board could maybe use some more support in understanding how some of these infrastructure projects might support one another, especially when it comes to like geothermal and the sewer being folded together because it would make more sense upfront and in the long run. So I want to continue to share that kind of information back to them and make sure they understand that this project is not meant to supersede any of the other priorities for infrastructure, but it could potentially complement what's already in place. At least up until this last summer, there were some tax incentives too for and just money back incentives for utilizing geothermal with other infrastructure improvements. Like a trench could be 40% cash back if you're putting geothermal into the same trench as another infrastructure project. I don't know where we're at with those things any longer, so we're kind of in a more flexible state with some of the things that were on the table as incentives in the past. But that's a possibility. Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
And we'll try and give updates after the cafes, but I don't do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm so grateful that you tune in and I definitely want to put it out to everybody that it's invited, everyone's invited. Totally open to the public and we now have a number of other municipalities in the area who are starting to participate because they're looking into geothermal as well. So yes, last Thursday of every month from 8 to 9, very casual, organic conversation and bring your morning beverage. And I'll always share the link on the Rico bulletin board and I'll share it with you too, Erin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any other business, Margaret?
I don't.
Okay. Fair board member Shayla?
Did you, I'm sorry, did you want to get pre-approval on that,
Oh, yes.
pending?
Yes.
Pending successful negotiations of the contract.
Yeah, I saw the purchase order and it looks like. So I think that was revised and got all that ironed out.
We had to have a, purchase order number, first time we've ever had to do that with these guys, so it was.
The purchase order they sent
No
looked like
process.
a contract, it wasn't.
Process.
The number's the old Cajon number, I don't know if that
No.
made any difference.
Oh, it is though. Okay, we'll fix that.
So anyway. I think
Does that make
it-
a difference?
We'll fix that.
Be good, but if you gave pre-approval for it.
Yeah.
The numbers look all right to the board?
Yeah, it should be saving us money.
Mhm.
With this service, so.
How much is the total?
12,000 and something, I think.
Yeah.
This contract.
You have a motion for it, for the contract, subject to final negotiation. Yeah.
And this is the service contract, which I told Shayla was a little weird, but I don't know.
Make a motion to approve the internet service contract contingent on implementation. Yeah, we go.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second to approve a service contract with internet contingent upon implementation.
Yes.
I mean, this is that'd be good moving forward, it'd be, I think it'd be a better service and it'll save the money on some services. Packages. Anything before we close? Perfect. Make a motion to adjourn. To adjourn, all in favor?
Yes.
And I'm gonna see what meetings adjourned. Thank you. It's nice to be up here. It's not too cold yet.